the United States and China engaged in a trade war. Trump continuously escalated his tariff policies. If China's previous response could be compared to a scalpel, this time it was like drawing a sharp sword and striking forcefully at Trump in a tough manner. China's countermeasures took everyone by surprise. However, Trump, his cabinet members, and some American media still seemed optimistic. On the morning of April 4th, local time, Trump posted on his Truth Social platform, saying that China had played the wrong card, that they were panicking, and that this was something they couldn't afford. Apparently, Trump didn't expect China to react so strongly. In his view, China would suffer significant losses, while the United States would be the ultimate winner. But is that really the case? Who is the biggest loser in this tariff war? Next, I will comprehensively analyze the new round of the China-US tariff war with data from aspects such as the US's reaction after China introduced countermeasures, the impact of the US's tariff hikes on China's exports, and what results China's countermeasures will achieve. After China decided to impose a 34% tariff on all goods imported from the United States, apart from Trump, who was full of confidence, his so-called winning school also expressed their opinions one after another. Senator Rubio believed that the world was adapting to the new rules set by the United States. Commerce Secretary Lutnick said that letting Donald Trump manage the global economy was a good idea because he knew what he was doing. A CNN commentator even claimed that China's economy would decline by 2.5 percentage points due to Trump's tariff policies. However, in contrast to their optimism, the performance of the U.S. stock market was telling the truth. The Nasdaq index plummeted 5.82% in a single day, dropping from 20,000 points to 16,500 points, the largest decline in 5 years. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 5.5%, and the S&P 500 dropped 5.97%. The market value of the three major stock indexes evaporated by more than $5 trillion. The panic that Trump mentioned didn't happen in China. Instead, it was the U.S. stock market that couldn't hold up first. Economists and investors were generally pessimistic. They couldn't understand Trump's tariff policies because importers would pass on part of the tariff costs to customers. This move might trigger inflation and even lead to an economic recession in the United States eventually. Therefore, many people with a clear-headed and rational mindset spoke out to criticize Trump's tariff policies and were also popularizing the adverse effects of tariffs to Americans. According to the data released by the U.S. Department of Commerce and China's General Administration of Customs, in the past 5 years, China's exports to the United States mainly included the following categories. The first category is mechanical and electrical products, accounting for about 50% of the share. The export volume in 2024 was $245.3 billion, including mobile phones, computers, home appliances, etc. The second category is textiles and household items, accounting for about 25% of the share. The export volume in 2024 was $128 billion. The third category is plastic products and rubber, accounting for about 6% of the share. The main products include medical consumables, auto parts, etc. The fourth category is steel products, accounting for 4% of the share. The export volume in 2024 was $20 billion. The fifth category is emerging products. Among them, the export volume of electric vehicles exceeded 2 million units, the export value of lithium-ion batteries increased by 40%, and photovoltaic modules accounted for 58% of the U.S. imports. In 2024, China's exports to the United States amounted to $524.656 billion, accounting for 4.6% of China's total global exports, making the U.S. the second largest export destination. Judging from the above data, the United States is indeed an important market for China. After Trump imposed high-level tariffs, it would inevitably affect China's foreign trade exports. However, when we look at the categories of export products, it's not difficult to find that these products cover various aspects of people's livelihood. And at least half of China's products are irreplaceable, such as electric vehicles, lithium-ion batteries, and special-grade steel. Even if Trump imposed high-level tariffs, some things could only be purchased from China. Of course, there are also a large number of products that could be replaced by Southeast Asian or other countries. But these countries lack a complete industrial chain. Some raw materials or processing links can only be completed in China. The problem is that Trump also imposed high-level tariffs on Southeast Asian countries, such as 46% on Vietnam and 49% on Cambodia. These tariffs were ultimately paid by American consumers. Unless people stop using these things, as long as they use them, they must rely on China's industrial chain. This is an unchangeable fact. Of course, Trump didn't believe this. He wanted to use the means of imposing tariffs to achieve the return of the manufacturing industry chain to the United States, that is, what he often said about making America great again. In fact, I can't quite understand this. The United States is clearly an elected government, but it doesn't consider the people. The U.S. Treasury Secretary even said, "Don't buy cheap Chinese goods. Pay more to buy American products." Such words are simply beyond my comprehension. It's ridiculous. You play the game of confrontation and ideology, and in the end, the people have to pay for it. This doesn't match the ideal of MAGA. Trump only talked about bringing industries back but never mentioned whether the United States had the soil to receive these industries. First of all, where would the land required for manufacturing and the supporting infrastructure come from? The various environmental protection policies in the United States, its old-fashioned infrastructure, and high labor costs are the first hurdles that discourage investors. Of course, perhaps some people, from the perspective of ordinary people, think that labor costs are normal and not expensive. They may even think that wages are too low. After all, prices in the United States are not cheap, and with inflation, this is one of the reasons for frequent strikes. But from the perspective of a boss, if you find that the costs in China on the other side of the ocean are much lower than those in the United States, the operating environment is better than that in the United States, and the quality is also good, and the cost of shipping products from China back to the United States is lower than the cost of manufacturing in the United States, allowing you to earn more profits. What would you choose? Secondly, where would high-level technical talents and skilled workers come from? The happy education in the United States has produced a large number of people with little knowledge and lazy people. These people have neither the ability nor the will to work hard in factories. When it comes to education, I think this is the main reason for the decline of the United States. At the same time, China takes education as the foundation, which is why they can make the United States feel insecure. In addition to these, there are all kinds of messy problems, such as the drug epidemic. If these basic issues are not resolved, how can the manufacturing industry be retained? Trump's imposition of tariffs is essentially a way to extract money from Americans. The so-called bringing back the manufacturing industry is just an excuse. Of course, high-level tariffs will definitely have an impact on China's foreign trade exports. In the long run, Trump's actions will be conducive to the optimization of the industrial structures of countries around the world. Now that everyone knows you're not a good guy, who would still want to trade with you at the cheapest price? Moreover, it has also prompted China to step up its efforts to promote the Belt and Road Initiative. Now China has continuously introduced a number of countermeasures, imposing a 34% tariff on all imported goods originally produced in the United States on top of the current applicable tariff rates. Different from China's exports to the United States, most of the U.S. exports to China are agricultural products and raw materials. Data shows that in the past 5 years, agricultural products accounted for about 40% of the share, mainly soybeans, corn, wheat, beef, and pork. The total import volume in 2024 was about $26 billion. Energy products accounted for about 30% of the share, mainly liquefied natural gas, crude oil, and coal. The total import volume in 2024 was about $28 billion. High-tech products accounted for about 20% of the share, mainly including semiconductors and integrated circuits, auto parts, and civilian aircraft. Among them, due to U.S. export controls and the gradual improvement of China's technical level, the share of semiconductors is decreasing year by year. With the increase in the localization rate of Tesla in China, the import volume of auto parts is also declining. In 2024, the total import volume of these three categories was about $39 billion. There are also two other categories: semiconductor manufacturing equipment and cotton, with import values of $4.5 billion and $1.8 billion respectively in 2024. From the above data, It can be seen that most of the goods exported by the United States are replaceable, especially agricultural products and energy. After a 34% tariff is imposed, the price will definitely rise. Importers will naturally look for new sources of supply, and the relevant U.S. industries will lose a major customer. The agricultural and livestock industry will be the most severely affected. After all, China is the third largest export destination for the United States. So, I think the United States has a very slim chance of winning. Having said that, I don't oppose the two giants playing a turn-based game. But I hope that the prices of goods won't increase. I'm just an ordinary person. Other than that, you can do whatever you want. What do you think about this? Welcome to leave your comments and discussions in the comment section.